Hello everyone, welcome to today's show. I'm your host, Zach Drew. There's a lot to cover. I'm really excited about this show. I'm gonna have a hard time getting it all in on today's program. It's probably gonna be a two-parter, we'll see. All right, Andrew, I want you to go ahead and put up the graphic for the topics of today's program. Here they are, 1 through 12. Number 1, JFK's death wasn't random. It was a direct attack on American sovereignty. JFK versus the Fed, the executive order that may have cost him his life. Donald Trump's fight, finishing what JFK started. Trump drops bombshell on Joe Rogan. That was from a couple of weeks ago. We're gonna play it again to give some kind of clarity to where we think he's gonna go next. The truth about JFK's assassination. BRICS versus the dollar, Trump's aggressive defense of America's economic sovereignty. Central bank digital currencies, the final step toward global tyranny. Federal Reserve's hidden agenda. Will a dollar collapse lead to a CBDC takeover? JFK to gold to Fed, Trump Bitcoin to Fed. The new war for financial sovereignty. Bitcoin, the new gold standard. CBDCs, the tool of tyranny that every Christian must resist. 11, Trump's Bitcoin revolution. Could a strategic reserve change America's future? And 12, from gold to crypto, the parallel battle for freedom. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and jump right in. We all know that change is coming. I don't think many people understand the degree in which the world is about ready to change. What is taking place on the political horizon has gotten many people killed. It got JFK assassinated, and we are here again. Hopefully it is a different outcome than the first time. So Trump finishing what JFK was assassinated for. And let me tell you, it wasn't just about politics. It was about money. It was about power. It was about control. Now, most people don't realize this, but just a few months before his death, JFK signed Executive Order 11110. And now what was that? It was a direct challenge to the Federal Reserve, the private banking cartel that controls the flow of money in this country. Kennedy authorized the U.S. Treasury to start printing silver-backed currency, real money, not the debt-based fiat currency we've been enslaved to ever since. This move would have stripped power from the Fed and put it back where it belongs, in the hands of the American people. But Kennedy didn't stop there. There's compelling evidence that he was looking beyond silver and setting his sights on something bigger, which would have been a return to the gold standard. Now, what would that have done? It would have ended the central bank's ability to print money out of thin air. It would have collapsed the system of perpetual debt that has kept nations and individuals enslaved to these powerful banking dynasties like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. And guess what? That kind of move makes enemies, big ones. I thought this was kind of, I just thought it was kind of an interesting little post. I thought it was clever. Just saw it by Wall Street Apes on X. This is what they had to say. The next step after bringing back American dominance as the global reserve currency will be to end the Federal Reserve. And this is a very, very good question. Why are we borrowing and paying interest on a currency we print ourselves? Time to end the central bank cartel. In the Fed, abolish the IRS. And then he posts a picture. The Federal Reserve is a private bank that prints our money and then loans it to us at an interest. That is how these families become so unbelievably wealthy. The IRS is simply their collection agency. You see, JFK was taking on the shadow government, a global network of elites, intelligence agencies, and defense contractors who profit from war, who profit from debt, who profit from control. And like I said, we already know about control war. But a lot of people don't understand that the interest, it seriously goes to these families, all right? Now they have ways to make it maybe appear other ways, but that's exactly where it goes. And you see, JFK, he understood what he was up against. And that's why in 1961, he gave his now famous warning about secret societies and the dangerous power of the military-industrial complex. He wasn't just talking to hear himself speak, all right? He was sounding the alarm. And that alarm is being sounded again today. But JFK, you know, like Trump, he didn't want war. He was actually working to de-escalate the Cold War and to pull us out of Vietnam and to, you know, just disrupt the endless cycle of conflict that fills the coffers of these global elites. And what happened? Just a few months later, and bam, he was assassinated in broad daylight. And make no mistake, my friends, that bullet didn't just kill a man, it killed a vision for an America free from the grip of global bankers. It didn't just kill a man, it killed a future where our money was backed by something real, you know, silver and gold, and not just, you know, empty promises from the Federal Reserve. But here's the thing, it didn't stop there. The same global powers that orchestrated Kennedy's assassination have obviously continued their agenda. And in 1971, Nixon, you know, he took us completely off the gold standard, and now they're pushing for something even more dangerous, way more dangerous than what was operating in the 60s. A central bank digital currency, a CBDC. You know, it's centralized, totally different than cryptocurrency. A digital dollar will give them total control over every transaction you make, okay? You know, you can't pay the neighbor kid $30 to mow your lawn without the government knowing, right? So imagine that. Imagine a world where they can track, where they can freeze or even cancel your money with the push of a button. No cash, no privacy, no freedom. This is the next phase of their plan, and it's unfolding right now. JFK's assassination was a warning, a message to anyone who dares challenge their system. And now, enter Donald Trump. This show is going to get deeper and deeper as we go forward. So next, we're going to dive into the striking parallels between Donald Trump and JFK and how the entire world is on the verge of being shaken to its core. You're not going to want to miss this, okay? So all of that and more right after this. We started our year-end fundraiser last month, in the month of November. The goal is to raise $60,000 before the new year, just a few weeks left to go. So as you know, our dear friend of the ministry, Mark Eskinder, through the Alice J. Hamilton Trust, pledged a matching $10,000 donation. And praise God, it has been matched. I want to thank Robert. I want to thank my friend, and thank you for the call, Earl, who gave $1,400, and Robert $20, and Rosella $50. That puts our total now at $10,320. That means last month we were able to raise a total with the $10,000 match, $20,320 for our needs in 2025. So we have roughly $40,000 to go and less than a month to get there. And remember, this pays for all of our airtime, all of our editing fees, all of our web developer fees, and also a couple more things. I didn't put it in my notes, but closed captioning, which is mandated to have a syndicated television program on Comcast cable, and a couple other things as well. So please get involved. Less than a month ago, we need a miracle. We need something major to happen between now and the new year. just go to ZachDrewShow.com and click that bright orange donate button. It's so simple. Or you can write us at Zach Drew Show, P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois, 62525. Please put in the memo that your gift is for the end of year fundraiser. Let's get back to the program. The parallels between Donald Trump and JFK, they are astonishing, okay? Both men in their own time took on the global elites, the entrenched powers that profit off our debt, our wars, and our freedom. And like JFK, Trump isn't just fighting for America, all right? We understand that. He is fighting for the sovereignty of nations worldwide. And the influence, I think, I think who really kind of pushed him over the edge to release the JFK files was RFK. But it's very strategic. He is going to release it to set the stage for what he's about ready to do. So just recently, Trump, he appeared on Joe Rogan's podcast and made a bombshell announcement. Like I said, that he is planning to release the top secret files on JFK's assassination. And the bigger question is why? Why would he do that? Take a listen.
One of the things that I want to talk to you about is the JFK files. And one of the things that you said was that if they showed you what they showed me, this was your quote, you wouldn't want people to know it either.
So I opened them up partially. I was met with, from good people, good people. People that were well-meaning. Mike Pompeo was one of them. He's a good person. They called me. They said, "Sir, would rather have you not." And I did open them, but I was asked by some people not to open them. There's a Martin Luther King file too, by the way, that they'd like to see. I don't know if you know, but there is that. But JFK in particular. So they called me. A lot of good people called me. People that that you would find reasonable people. And they asked me not to do it, so I said, well, we'll close it for another time. But if I win, I'm going to open them up. I'm just going to open enough time.
Why didn't you open it up the first time, though?
Because a lot of times,
what was the hesitation, though?
Addresses, people that are still living. There are people that are affected. And there could be some national security reason that that I don't have to necessarily know about. But some very good, talented people asked me not to do it. I opened it up, and then they said, would it be possible for us to do that a different day?
How much of it did you read into? I think it's going to be just fine to open it. Let me put it that way. I think it's fine. It's going to be time. It's a cleansing. It's really a cleansing. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it immediately, almost immediately upon entering office. Well, the thing, when people look at it from the outside and you sort of imagine what could be a reason why they would not release those files, it would be there's people that were implicated in the assassination.
Yeah. Well, when there are living people, you generally tend not to want to do it. When people are still living.
Living people that formerly work for the government.
For the government, and living people that were somehow involved in it, and you tend not to do that. But it's time to open them.
Trump ain't playing checkers, people, all right? This is an absolute strategic chess move. So the question is why, right? Why would Trump do this? After all this time, to reveal the truth about why Kennedy was killed and expose the globalist forces that orchestrated it. I believe Trump knows what he's about ready to do, what's coming. He understands that this revelation will shake the world, and it will wake up millions of people to the reality of who is truly pulling the strings behind, or pulling the strings behind the scenes. It's going to be wild. I mean, it's setting him up to do what he is about to do, because Trump isn't stopping there. He's not just going to release it, right? He's doing what Kennedy was never able to finish. He's pledged to kill central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and not just in America, but around the globe. Here are some of his recent comments on that subject.
I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. And tonight I'm also making another promise to protect Americans from government tyranny. As your president, I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. Do you know about that?
The significance of this, can't be lost here. The globalist elites, the same forces who pushed us off of the gold standard and into a debt-based fiat system, they're now pushing for a digital currency. Like I said earlier, it's a system that will totally control you, your financial lives, everything. No, like I said, no cash, no freedom, no escape. And Trump's saying no. He's saying no. He knows what we know, that CBDCs are a tool of tyranny. They're the final step toward a global socialist government where every transaction is tracked, controlled, and if necessary, which it would be, because they get to write the rules, to shut you down if you don't comply, with their thoughts, their narratives, their agenda. And let's be real, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's their stated goal. And Trump's commitment to destroying CBDCs is a direct attack, once again, like JFK, on the heart of the global financial system. And just like JFK, he is willing to take the fight to them. But here's where it gets serious. We know what happens to leaders who challenged the globalist machine. We saw it with Kennedy. We saw it with others who stood in the way. And I believe we're going to see the same forces attempt to stop Trump. So I believe when Trump releases those JFK files, it's going to be a turning point. It's going to show the world the depths of corruption that killed Kennedy and highlight why Trump's fight is so important. He's picking up the torch that JFK carried. And he's moving it forward in a way we haven't seen in decades. In decades. People, this is the moment we've been waiting for, right? I mean, just don't let this be lost on you. This is so huge. To fight to end CBDCs, to expose the globalist agenda, to restore sound money, to restore freedom. And it's all converging right now. And I'm going to kind of go in a different direction, but it's all within the same vein, and I'm going to tie it up or wrap it up. Actually, I'm 15 minutes in. This is going to have to be a two-parter, and what stinks is the best part is the last part. Okay, so BRICS. Here's an article. 47, Donald Trump declares war on BRICS. Trump takes America first to the next level in his aggressive defense of the US dollar. And by way of review, BRICS, it's an economic alliance between Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And it's designed to challenge the dominance of the US dollar in global trade. How? By creating a new alternative financial system. And their goal is to shift power away from Western influence and to establish a multipolar economic order that really could ultimately undermine American sovereignty. So, big deal, huge deal. So what did Trump have to say about this recently? Here's his post on X. The idea that the BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over. We require a commitment from these countries that they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty US dollar, or they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling into the wonderful US economy. They can go find another sucker. There is no chance that the BRICS will replace the US dollar in international trade, and any country that tries should wave goodbye to America. You see, BRICS it's a movement, and it's designed to create a parallel financial system, a system that weakens the dollar and consolidates global power. And I read this online, and I think it is worth reading. So go ahead and put that on the screen. The Federal Reserve, and it's an interesting take. The Federal Reserve may not actively seek the collapse of the US dollar, but such an event, and I do disagree with that, I think they would actively seek it, because that is what gives way to a CBDC. But such an event could present a unique opportunity to push for the implementation of a central bank digital currency. Oh, there you go. While a dollar collapse would undoubtedly cause widespread economic instability, it could also create an environment where the demand for a more centralized and controlled digital currency becomes more urgent. As people lose faith in traditional banking and the stability of the dollar, a CBDC could be seen as a solution to restore confidence and provide greater government oversight of the financial system. In this scenario, the Federal Reserve might view a weakening of the dollar not as a setback, but as a catalyst for the establishment of CBDC. With a CBDC in place, the government and the Fed would have the power to monitor financial transactions more closely, enforce monetary policies more effectively, and gain unprecedented control over the economy. This level of oversight isn't possible with traditional forms of currency or even with private digital currencies. While a dollar collapse could temporarily hinder the rollout of a CBDC due to the economic chaos, the long-term implications may push the Fed to accelerate its plans. A CBDC would offer the government a tool to manage financial instability, curb inflation, and consolidate power in the face of economic turmoil. In this way, the collapse of the dollar, while devastating in the short term, could serve as the perfect pretext for the introduction of a digital currency controlled by the Federal Reserve. We have this idea, oh, CBDCs, they're bad, they want more power, and they do, and I agree with all of that, but never forget the times in which we're living. We are living in the end times. And there are so many prophetic scriptures that cannot yet be fulfilled because I don't think the technology has spread throughout the entire country yet, or rather the entire world. Because one day they will have a system that controls everything, like a CBDC. But the timing is not for us to decide. We're to fight against it. And the Lord's will ultimately prevail, but there is a day in which something like a CBDC will control the entire globe. I'm just going to fight against it until it happens. And once it happens, we'll know that the Lord is coming back literally within the next few years. And that's why CBDCs, it's not just, an economic shift. It's not just, bad control. It literally is a spiritual battleground. I firmly believe it. I firmly believe that CBDCs are a tool being prepared for the Antichrist system. And when it's fully implemented, they will be, used to control the buying and selling of all goods. And that's what Revelation 13 says. I'll read it for you. Revelation 13, 16 and 17 says, "It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they have the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name." What is that describing, if not a complete economic control system? And CBDCs, when tied to social credit scores and global financial oversight, will give governments and globalist institutions the power to dictate it all. To literally fulfill the scripture that, who can buy, who can sell, who can live freely. But here's where, what we need to understand is this. The people pushing this agenda, whether, and we've talked about this on the show, whether knowingly or unknowingly, are working for their master, Satan. This isn't just about greed or power. This is about preparing the infrastructure for the Antichrist earthly kingdom. And now here's where it gets interesting. So yes, these things will happen. The Bible is clear. We can't stop prophetic events, the prophetic timeline of God. Revelation will unfold. The Antichrist will rise. The global system will come together under his control. That is certain. But that doesn't mean we should just sit back, throw up our hands and to do nothing. All throughout Scripture, the precedent has been set. There is a human element in all of this. Now, while we can't stop God's ultimate plan, we are called to resist evil. We are called to stand for truth, to fight for righteousness as long as we have breath. It says it's in Ephesians chapter 6, 12 and 13. Look at what Paul tells us. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand. And there it is right there in the Scripture. We are called to stand, to fight against these systems of control, to expose darkness, to protect our families, our communities, and our nation for as long as we can. Think about it. Think about Noah. Noah built the ark even though judgment was coming, right? Daniel, he stood firm in Babylon, even though he knew God's plan would unfold. And we're called to do the same today. So I'm seeing this because I see so many Christians saying, well, we can't do anything, it's already set in stone. No, that's not what the Word of God tells us to do. Every time we stand against something like CBDCs, every time we expose the globalist agenda, every time we vote for leaders who oppose these systems, we are delaying the advance of evil and shining the light of Christ in a dark world. And ultimately, God will honor that. He hasn't called us to win the entire war on our own, right? That's Jesus' job when he returns in glory. But he has called us to fight our battles, to occupy until he comes. And like Luke says, I can't remember the exact chapter, to be salt and light in a world desperate for truth. So yes, these things are coming, but fighting against them is not futile, it's obedience. And when we do our part, we align with God's plan and play a role in this unfolding story. I'm about out of time, but the fight isn't over, church. And even though we know where the story is headed, we're called to stand firm until the very end. I had to cut this show, my content, about in half. And let me tell you, you're not going to want to miss. I'm going to have to do a recap of some of this next week. But then we're going to get to JFK, gold, the end of the Fed, to Trump, Bitcoin, and the Fed, the new war for financial freedom. We're going to be talking about things that just seem so unbelievably wild, but then whenever you hear what certain senators are saying, what certain congressmen are saying, what certain presidents of other nations are saying, what Donald Trump has recently said, it's blowing me out of the water. I mean, it's blowing my mind. And so this might be an inflammatory statement, but you'll understand what I mean if you watch the program next week, whenever that section is called Bitcoin, the new gold standard. Another topic for next week is CBDCs, the tool of tyranny that every Christian must resist. Trump's Bitcoin revolution, could a strategic reserve change America's future? And we're also going to be covering, amongst other things, on next week's program, from gold to crypto, the parallel battle for freedom. Remember, we have $40,000 to go in our year-end fundraiser. We've raised just over $20,000 with less than a month to go. Please get involved. Visit us online, ZachDrewShow.com, or write us, Zach Drew Show, P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois, 62525. Get involved. We need your help, and I'll see you next week.